there. I'm Kirsten.
And this is Chad.
And we are Ports and Palaces podcast. Today we're going to be talking about special events at Disney World, Disneyland, and Disney Cruise Line.
This podcast is sponsored by Ports and Palaces Vacations. Whether you are wanting to check out a new port along a cruise line or see the palaces of Disney and Universal, our travel advisors make your dream trip a reality. Your next trip is just a click away.
So let's get into the news from this last week. First, we have to say we're actually showing the news from the last 2 weeks. We were all sick last week, so we skipped last week's podcast. We'll get it caught up, but we were just not doing well in our house. So lots of news this morning. We're going to start with Universal. So first up is that Stella Nova, which is one of Universal's newest resorts, opened, and it is beautiful. I've seen pictures. I can't wait to go actually see it in real life. It is actually going to be over in the Epic Universe area. So it's a tad bit far from the current parks that are open, but it will be amazing when Epic Universe is open. And then Universal also opened up all of their 2025 dates and released when things were happening. So first they released Mardi Gras, which we already knew about. It started on February 1st, so this last Saturday, and then it's running through March 30th. Butterbeer season is starting March 1st, going through May 31st. Then we've got Back to Hogwarts coming back this fall. And then the two big events for Universal is Halloween Horror Nights that starts August 29th and ends November 2nd. And then they start Universal Holidays, which is really fun. It's got the Grinch, and they do holiday things for Hogwarts as well. And that starts November 21st and goes through December 31st. So anyone that is wanting to travel around that between Christmas and New Year's time, just make sure to make note that all ends on the 31st. Then switching over to Disney, Disney has once again changed their Lightning Lane system, and now Premier Pass is being opened up to all guests. It actually just sold out for the first time, which was pretty shocking. That shows that a lot of people are willing to pay that cost. But that Premier Pass, even though it's open to all guests, it's still following the same timeline. So if you're off property, it's still not available for purchase until that 3-day out, versus on property is the 7 days out. Over in Disneyland, some resorts are getting new facelifts. So I noticed that there's two new concierge lounges going into Disneyland Hotel and Grand Californian. The Napa Rose over in Grand Californian is getting a facelift, so that'll be exciting. And then something that was interesting to me was Pixar Place is getting themed signature suites to Coco and Incredibles. And Pixar Place just opened back in last January, so that was shocking that they're already kind of renovating and updating those suites. So back over to Disney World, we finally got kind of our demo day for Muppet Land, which is officially turned Grand Avenue over in Hollywood Studios. Construction is supposed to begin the end of March, which is pretty conveniently timed to around most people's spring break. So hopefully most people will get to see all that without the construction. Mama Melrose closes on May 10th, and then Muppet Vision and Pizza Rizzo will close on June 7th. And no word yet on the retheme for Rock and Roller Coaster. For listeners that are not sure what I'm talking about, Disney said that they are not completely getting rid of the Muppets, that the Muppets are just changing locations and going over to Rock and Roller Coaster, but no word on that retheme or when that refurbishment will start. Garden Rock's concert lineup was released for Flower and Garden Festival. We're going to actually talk about Flower and Garden Festival today, but that is from March 5th to June 2nd this year. And then the concert is just an added part of the festival. There were some pretty big names on there. So Air Supply, Blue October, Sugar Ray, Simple Plan, 98 Degrees, Plain White Tees. And Plain White Tees was actually there when we were in Disney World last year for Flower and Garden, and they put on a great show. And big news, especially for Disney Cruise Line, Dine and Play has returned. So that means that anyone that is doing late dining, so that 8:15 time, The adults can now send their kids that are in the Oceaneer Club or Lab, so ages 3 through 10, at 9 o'clock. Youth counselors will be at each dining location to get kids that want to go to the Oceaneer Lab, and then they would transport them over to that lab or the club, and then you can pick them up after dinner. So that's a big perk that kind of disappeared for a while and then is now back. So that was really exciting. So that was a lot of news. We won't have that much news moving forward, but we were catching up from 2 weeks. So moving on.
So as y'all know, TikTok has been blocked from download in the US. The only foreseeable way to get around that is to get a VPN subscription, whether that be NordVPN, ExpressVPN, and setting that to outside of the USMCA, that is the US, Canada, Mexico. Do not set your region to any of those regions. Set it to something in the UK or something like that so you can be able to re-download it from the App Store.
Yeah, I got hit with the TikTok block. It was very sad. It's been a rough week because I obviously use a lot of social media, and I like TikTok's platform the best for making videos. And I just feel like all the other platforms are just real clunky. And I knew TikTok was going to get banned, but I was hoping it would come back really quick. And so I thought I just hid it from my home screen so that way I didn't constantly just keep getting clicks on it and then them telling me I couldn't use it. And apparently either I fully deleted it off my phone or I don't know what happened, but it is off my phone. So I'm anxiously awaiting getting that back on my phone. And I think you've been really excited, Chad, that I've been using your phone all week to do TikTok.
Excited. So excited.
So pretty much when he gets home from work, I'm like, hey, I need your phone to do TikTok. So I think he's more excited than I am that one day we'll come back and I can use my own phone. But here we'll have to see what happens. We also had our first 5-star review, but I can't really call it a review. Someone just left 5 stars on our podcast, but there's no review. So thank you to whoever gave us 5 stars last week. Seeing as it was our first podcast, we're really excited that we got 5 stars. But if you want to make that into an actual review, we'll read it on air for you. Okay, Chad, you ready to get into the meat of this episode?
Is there salami?
No. So today we're going to talk about the different, we're going to stick to Disney and the different kind of specialty events that they do. We're going to start with the events that are a separate park ticket. So they are a separate cost. They're not included with your park ticket. You have to plan separately, and they're not every night or every day during a season. We're not going to go through all the after hours events. Every park at some point in the year does after hours events. Those are just kind of hit and miss during the time of year that they're offered. But we can definitely, if you want to reach out to us by email or on social media, we can talk about those dates that are being offered. But we're going to stick to the big events, the ones that people look forward to and happen pretty consistently during certain times of the year. So let's start with Hollywood Studios. So let's start with the specialty ticketed event in Hollywood Studios. Right now, there's just one event like that, and it is Jollywood Nights. That is a Christmas event, kind of around the Hollywood or around the holidays, and it's think upscale version of the other Christmas party event, which is Mickey's Very Merry Christmas Party. So we're gonna start with the specialty ticketed events, and those are going to start over here at Magic Kingdom. Magic Kingdom, just for future reference for everyone, is in Disney World, and that's in Orlando. The first big event that Magic Kingdom has every year is Mickey's Not So Scary. That is their Halloween party. They do obviously Halloween themed food. They have trick or treat trails, and they give you bags. And then they have specialty entertainment. So fireworks, they have a parade, they have a stage show, but everything is kind of centered around Halloween. So it's a little bit more spooky, but I wouldn't say it's like overly spooky. It's going to scare you. And then the other event that Magic Kingdom has is Mickey's Very Merry Christmas Party. And those tickets usually come out in June or July, but it is their Christmas party in November and December. And it's obviously Christmas themed. It's holiday themed. You get free cookies. And we actually went to this last year, so we have pretty good updated information. They have really good specialty characters. So that's something that really drew us to that event. Characters that you don't normally see. And then you've got the specialty fireworks, the specialty shows. And then I think they do a good job of doing specialty rides too. So, oh my goodness, I'm blanking. Tomorrowland Speedway has all the Christmas lights. And then I feel like there's another one. Oh my
Space
goodness.
Mountain is all lit up.
There we go. Yeah, so Space Mountain, it actually lights up in red and green. Vice versa, going back to Mickey's Not So Scary, Space Mountain is pitch black during that ride, which sounds kind of scary for Halloween, but that's the themed overlay for Halloween. And then I forgot to mention that tickets for Not So Scary usually come out in May. I think this is a great time to mention that on top of everything that went on this week, we've all been sick. So if you hear that our voices are just a little distorted or our brains are a little foggy, we're going through some brain fog because we've all been sick. I'm currently got a blanket wrapped around me and my throat feels like it's on fire. So that's exciting. But that was Magic Kingdom, Mickey's Not So Scary and Halloween time, and then Mickey's Very Merry Christmas Party. And then you go over to Hollywood Studios, and that is Jollywood Nights. And that, think Christmas upscale. So there's more rare characters. There's more kind of glitz and glamour of Hollywood-esque type of parties or dancing, music. This is not branded as adults only, but when you look at ticket prices, which will come out in June or July, there's no kid price. So they only give you one standard price for adults and kids, which when you look at it, you're kind of like, okay, well, then they're trying to tell you this is probably not like suited the best for kids. So I would say if you're going in an adults only type of an event, then Jollywood Nights is a great one to go to. Whereas Mickey's Very Merry Christmas Party, I think, is more geared towards kids or families. So those are the non-included events that Disney World does. But Epcot does a really good job of included events. So they have festivals throughout the year that are included with your cost of admission. And there are 4. There's Festival of the Arts, Flower and Garden Festival, Food and Wine Festival, Festival of the Holidays. And those go pretty consistently throughout the year. You can kind of pinpoint maybe a good range of times. They do change their dates up throughout each year. They're kind of different, but pretty consistently as far as, okay, look around this time. So right now is Festival of the Arts, and that goes from January and February. As you can probably tell by the name, it's celebrating arts. So they do chalk art on the ground. They have artists come in and do that. Disney makes these murals that you can help paint, which is pretty cool. And then they have artists come in and like bring their art that you can buy. And then they've got a lot of artsy food. I think this festival is one that the food kind of, I guess I'm intimidated the most by, because they try to bring in more eclectic things, like charred octopus was a big one this year, and squid ink pasta, which I heard was great. They go a little bit more eccentric on those foods for Festival of the Arts, I feel like. But that's all included in your, obviously the food you have to pay extra for, but the fun and the entertainment is not something that's after hours. It's included. They also have Broadway acts. Those are included too, which is really cool. They have, like, I think Frozen is this year and The Lion King. So they've got a different people that have been on the Broadway shows that come and perform, and that's included in your cost, which is really cool. And then once I just told you. once Festival of the Arts is over, they usually take about a month break, and then they start Flower and Garden Festival. That goes March through May. And that's a perfect time because it's starting to get warmer in Orlando. And so they kind of celebrate just the reblooming of flowers. And they do a lot more like sustainability type things. So they build topiaries with flowers. They usually have exhibits of like butterflies and the life cycle and things like that, which is really fun. We went to Flower and Garden last year, and it was really fun. Oh, the cat
that
is
was really
running
cool too. They had the floating flower arrangements in the lakes and stuff. It's pretty cool.
Yeah, that was really cool. And we liked just hanging out and seeing the topiaries and all the different ones they had. They had the Encanto one that was really cool. And last year they actually had the dog from Coco, Dante from Coco, and he lit up at night, which was really cool. They used bioluminescence, which is just really interesting. And I like that they change it up each year to be different, but also kind of keep in line with what they've always had, and then just kind of flared up a little bit each year. And then Food and Wine Festival starts usually late August and goes through early November. This is one of the ones we haven't actually been to. We're going to hit it this coming year in 2025. We're going to do a Halloween themed cruise, the Halloween on the High Seas, and then we're going to do Food and Wine Festival after. This one, to me, it's true to its name because Disney doesn't do as many extra things. Like with Flower and Garden, they have the topiaries. With Festival of the Arts, they do the chalk arts or things like that. Food and Wine is really celebrating food and alcohol.
The best way I can put it is if you're looking for a fall festival or a Oktoberfest or something where you can walk around and have alcoholic drinks and see the sights and stuff like that, then that's the event for you. It's not high energy or anything like that.
Mm-hmm. Kind of a truly celebrating the food, the different food. And then they wrap up the year at Epcot with Festival of the Holidays. And that sounds just like it is as well. I like that Epcot really sticks to its names, and that's what it's supposed to be. It's celebrating the different holidays and cultural holidays. So Ramadan or Diwali or Hanukkah, Father Christmas, like just all kinds of traditions that people have around the world. And that is such a cool holiday festival. So if you are thinking about pulling your kids out to go to Festival of the Holidays, they will learn a lot. You can maybe even try to tell your teacher like they're going on a learning experience because you walk to each pavilion and learn about that pavilion. So Africa's traditions or Morocco's traditions, and you actually learn about Italy, yeah. And they have the storytellers that tell the tradition, but they also have these really cool scrolls that kind of just help you read about it. They help you read about the tradition, and then a lot of food that goes with it as well, which is cool. And then one of the big draws of Festival of the Holidays is the candlelight processional in the America Pavilion. It is a huge choir that helps tell the story of Jesus Christ's birth. And they have celebrities come in that are kind of part of the Disney family, and they tell the actual story while the choir sings songs. And I think it's a misconception that this costs money. It does not. It is included in your park cost. You are free to go there multiple times. It's offered each day that the candlelight processional is being held. But something that is to keep note of is that this is one of the most popular events at Epcot, and they do dining packages that allow you reserved seating. And so once that reserved seating is taken up, there's not as many seats, not as many great seats. And so that's where sometimes these live experiences that are included in your park cost do sometimes add up because you want better seating, so you pay for those dining packages. So then you can head over to Disneyland. So that's pretty much everything that Disney World does as far as big scale festivals and events. And then you've got Disneyland. Then Disneyland does their own flair of items and events. They are more focused on food sometimes, I feel like, especially in the beginning of the year. So right now they're actually doing Lunar New Year, and they've got a bunch of ethnic food. And one thing that's really fun is the Mulan's Lunar New Year processional, which is just a little kind of cavalcade, a parade. But it features Mulan and her dragon friend, which is Mushu. And so that's kind of cool. You don't get to see that character a whole lot, so that's fun. And then they head right into Food and Wine Festival somewhere close to the end of February through April. And that Food and Wine Festival is different than Food and Wine Festival in Orlando because they celebrate the culture and the food of California. So that's a great place to kind of learn about the country or the state of California. They do culinary experiences. A big one is the culinary experience with Goofy. He does like a Goofy's Kitchen demonstration. And then they change Soarin', which is like Soarin' around the world, into Soarin' over California during Food and Wine Festival, which is really cool. Then typically in like the summertime, you have Pixar Fest over in California, but they are not doing that this year because it is going to be Disneyland's 70th anniversary. And so that's going to be running from May of this year, and then it just says through summer of 26. So not really a hard stop there. But then you go into the fall and winter, and that's when I think their festivals become more popular. More people are there to travel to see them. The first one is like their Halloween time. So they have Plaza de Familia over in Disney California Adventure, and it's just beautiful decorations. They have a puppet of Miguel that's really cool. They have some Coco themed shows. And then the biggest event is Oogie Boogie Bash. So that's a separate event. It's a separate ticket. It's after hours. And they do treat trails. So they do treat trails differently in Disneyland than they do in Orlando, because their treat trails kind of go with a villain, and you get to kind of interact with the villain and kind of listen to them. It's really fun entertainment while you're waiting in line to get candy.
They'll interact with you too, especially who's the villain? Hercules, I should know. Hades, yes. He'll crack jokes at you, or he'll compliment you if you're wearing something of his or something that looks like him, stuff like that.
Yeah, we really liked Hades. Everyone had talked about the villain from, oh my goodness, you can tell we're sick. The villain from Coco that sings "Remember Me." Anyway, everyone had said that he was amazing, and
it's very melancholy.
Yeah, we went, I guess, when they had told him to stop singing because people were lining up for the parade, even though the parade had started on one side of the park and was nowhere near us, but they had told him to stop singing, and so he was just kind of standing there when we walked through, which was a little anticlimactic, but it is what it is. There's always, because it's the Oogie Boogie Bash, Oogie Boogie is there. So that one's always fun.
That room alone was incredible. That was really cool. Some of it was projection, some of it was screens. Was there an actor inside the Oogie Boogie suit? Or
there is, but I feel like there's someone like connected to him that's saying for him to say certain things, because there were things that he would say that like you could tell he could see the audience, but the way his costume is, I don't know. I don't know where he's looking out. I feel like there's maybe someone talking to Oogie Boogie in an earpiece, but
that's kind of a lot like how the setup is, especially when I was in Galaxy's Edge. Not to get too much off topic, but we got to meet the Mandalorian, and the Mandalorian was saying like custom phrases that he never said in the show or anything like that, and then I look over and there's somebody near us on an iPad typing to a AI generated voice of the Mandalorian, which is still didn't take me out of it. Thought it was pretty cool, but I think I see that a lot.
Yeah. And so anyway, so that's the treat trails. Those are probably the biggest draw to Oogie Boogie. But they also just have a lot of specialty characters. A big one is the Sanderson sisters. That was a big draw. We lucked out on seeing them. The parade lineup had started, and so no one could really get back there. And so we were able to see them, which was really nice. And then after the Halloween period, you've got the Festival of the Holidays. And I feel like this is, again, kind of similar to Festival of the Holidays in Epcot, but maybe just toned down a little bit. So again, we're at Disney California Adventure. They do food, but they don't do, I don't think, the storytellers and things like that. But they do have specialty cavalcades and specialty nighttime events and tree lightings and things like that. It's just not to the grand scale of Epcot. Now, Disneyland, though, is different in that pretty much everything that they offer is included in your theme park cost, which is really nice. In select days in February, they do Celebrate Gospel, which is community choirs from Southern California. They come and sing. That's just a really special event, especially if you're in California, you live there. You can kind of see choirs that you already know. One that's ticking up in popularity lately is Season of the Force, and that's March through May. So if you have a Star Wars lover, that's a great time to go. If you wait until after Disneyland's 70th anniversary, sometimes Season of the Force lines up with Pixar Fest. So you've kind of got the Pixar kid lovers, if you've got kids in the family, and then you've got your Star Wars, maybe dads or parents that love Star Wars. That can sometimes overlap and make a really epic trip because you can celebrate both at the same time. A big draw of Season of the Force is that Space Mountain actually becomes Hyperspace Mountain. And so it's themed to Star Wars, which is really cool. Then remember, so we just did Disneyland California Adventure. So over at Disneyland, they also do Halloween and holidays. They just do them differently. So Halloween time, they do specialty fireworks, which are included in your park cost. And then they also theme Haunted Mansion to Haunted Mansion Holiday, which is the Nightmare Before Christmas. And it is amazing. I can't even explain it. It was themed so well to Nightmare Before Christmas. And then a huge draw is that Jack and Sally are actually there as characters. And I think over in Disney World, the only way to see Jack and Sally are with those extra cost tickets.
Yeah.
And it's included in Disneyland, which is nice.
I will say, and maybe it was just because it was peak season and it's a special event, it took forever to see Jack and Sally.
Yeah.
And they rotated them
Yeah.
to back and forth, and then eventually the attendant lady was like, I can't tell you whether or not both of them or one of them will come back, or if Jack will be here but Sally won't, or if Sally will be here but Jack won't. Just stay tuned. It's like, okay, well, we came here to see both of them, and then just almost luck of the draw. I think we were in line, and they took a break twice.
Mm-hmm. I think when we got in line, the line was really long, and it was just Jack. And we kind of decided that we thought if we stayed in line long enough, maybe it would switch back to Jack and Sally. And so it was kind of luck there that by the time we were close to the front of the line, Jack left and then brought Sally back. And so we got to see both of them. But that's definitely something to keep in mind. I also felt like characters in Disneyland are a little more flexible in their timings. Disney World is very, I don't want to say strict, but like if they say a character is going to be there from such time to such time, that's when you're going to find them there. And Disneyland is a little more flexible is the best word with their timing. So like both times we tried to get to Jack and Sally on our most recent trip. We had skipped Jack and Sally on previous trips because our daughter was just too young and we didn't want to scare her. And this last time when we decided we were going to do it, we tried to get there a little bit before official character time started, and both times Jack and Sally had already started. So that was kind of where the line was long. We were hoping to get in line before people really saw them and wanted to hop in line.
That and the other thing, something we ran into was the characters would walk around the park at Disneyland and stuff like that, and you just catch them at random.
Yeah.
In fact, there was one in particular, we were lucky enough to catch Moana right before she was going back to a cast member zone.
And it's happened before, like with Aladdin, he was just walking around. I think you have to be a lot more aggressive at Disneyland with the characters, like just kind of jumping in and being like, hey, can you sign this? Like, just always have that autograph book and that phone ready to go, because they just kind of walk around, especially in that Fantasyland area, which is already packed. But anyway, back to what we were talking about. So that's Halloween. And then I think Disneyland does Christmas just really well. Not only is it because it's almost all included in your park ticket, whereas Disney World is not, but they just do a really good job. So Haunted Mansion Holiday continues through Christmas just because that's kind of a Halloween and Christmas event. But they do tree lightings. They have specialty. They do a Christmas fantasy parade. They have Santa visiting areas. This year, they actually had like a meet time with Santa where Santa was there. They did parties with him. And then another big draw is they do Small World holidays. So It's a Small World is completely done up for Christmas, and they light it up. And so it's a really special event to get to see that right as it's lighting up. And then Disneyland does do some after hours nights throughout the year. And those sell out really quickly. So if those are something that you're wanting to do, you want to stay on top of those or get a travel agent that's sticking on top of those dates, because it's guaranteed. Sorry. That it's guaranteed it's going to sell out before the event. Right now, they're doing Sweethearts Night, so think Valentine's, and those events sold out in seconds. They've got 90s nights that are going on this year in March. Then you've got Star Wars Night that is in April and May, and that kind of coincides with Season of the Force. So you want to kind of, if you're going for Season of the Force, you don't want to miss a Star Wars Night, so definitely check that out. And then you've got Pride Night that's in June. So that's Disneyland. We kind of went through everything in California Adventure, and then you've got Disneyland, so that encompasses the whole property. And then, not to be left out, Disney Cruise Line also does their themed events. So the first couple of the season are Marvel Day at Sea. So that's exactly what you would see, or exactly what it sounds like. They have Marvel characters that come out that you wouldn't normally see. They have Marvel deck shows, which are phenomenal. They also used to have Pixar Day at Sea with Pixar character breakfasts. That has, I don't want to say it's been discontinued, but it wasn't offered in 2025 or 2026. So, not sure if they'll come back for 2027. There's a lot of new ships coming out, so I would hope that they're going to try to have some more of those specialty cruises again. But as of right now, Pixar Day at Sea is not being offered. And then you've got Halloween on the High Seas. So think kind of very similar to the Halloween parties. They do trick-or-treating around the ship. They have specialty deck parties. They have like themed backdrops to take pictures. And then they've got this pumpkin tree that is just beautiful. I've never thought to make a pumpkin tree, but they do a great job with it. They do Halloween food, which I think is fantastic. And then you might see like costume parties, people dressing up in costumes and getting prizes for it. And then specialty characters like Jack and Sally and the Sanderson sisters. And then you've got your very maritime cruises, which are late November through December. And those have gingerbread houses, tree lightings that start the show or the itinerary on night one. You have specialty decked parties, again, those themed backdrops. There's usually a unofficial Christmas pajama night, which is really fun. And then you've got Santa that comes. He does specialty times where he sits with people and talks with them. But then there's usually at least one time during a cruise that Miss Claus comes and reads. And I think that's really cute. This last cruise we went on, that was only once. So one time the whole cruise, she did it. So make sure if those are things you really want to do that you're checking your Navigator app and hearting those things so you get a notification that those are happening, because you don't want to miss it, especially if it's one time. But that's it for Disney. There's obviously a lot more in the world for, Universal or Royal Caribbean or all kinds of other things, but Disney felt like it would be its own podcast at this point. So maybe we'll hop on and do Universal and other things another time. But that is all we have for you today. Just a reminder, if you want to find us on socials, we're pretty much everywhere. If you look up Ports and Palaces Vacations, that's PortsandPalaces Vacations. And then also reach out to us. All those are in all the links to those social media accounts are in our show notes. And then I also have my email address. If you're looking to book a trip, I'd love to work with you. Just shoot me an email. We can kind of chat. I also can take clients that have booked in the last 30 days. So if you've decided this is a little overwhelming, I really need some help, I am more than welcome to chat with you and see what's going on, and at the very least get you pointed in the right direction. Anything I missed today, Mr. Chad?
Nope, that covered pretty well.
Alrighty. Well, we will see you next week. Bye.
Bye.